Hello again, you filthy animals, and welcome back. Last time our intrepid protagonists found Isaac Faber dead, right next to the music box. Daniel and Erica returned it to its owner, Ariadne Legrand Amsberg, hoping it would lift Daniel's curse. But that wasn't the case. In this episode, Daniel and Renee will make a return, with Etienne, Sophie, Alexander, and Erica not being involved at all, most likely because they were attending Isaac Faber's funeral. Anyway, without further ado, here is Twisted Trail. We finished the last episode with Daniel crashing on Sophie's couch and experiencing a vision of a strange woman, the same strange malformed woman he saw in the hospital. Returning the box to its owner, Ariadne, didn't seem to lift the box's curse at all, and Daniel's only lead is Sebastian Huscher, but nobody knows where the man is. His family are gone, and his close associate Isaac Faber is dead. Daniel hopes there might be clues to Huscher's whereabouts at the university, where he's a professor. Here we meet two new characters, Omar Nassari and Grace Richards. Omar is an associate professor at Huscher's university and close personal friends with the man. Omar is also a Muslim, though his faith has lapsed somewhat, and it's something he thinks about the more he explores the university. Grace, meanwhile, is a master student in history and studies personally under the tutelage of Sebastian, who is an author that specialises in historical fiction. Grace is an American, and like Omar, has emigrated to Europe for her studies. Because of this, they found a kinship in one another, that given the amount of time the two spend thinking about each other during the episode, might actually be something more. For the purpose of this episode, I'll be narrating from the point of view of both new characters at different points in the narrative. Having found Isaac Faber dead, and with no leads left to follow, Daniel reaches out to Sebastian Huscher's colleagues for help.
Grace, a PhD student and Huscher's mentee, and Professor Nassiri, one of his associates, gladly agreed to give us a hand with the search. They used to stay up late working in Huscher's office, so that seemed like a good place to start.
We had no idea how serious the situation was. If we'd known about his family, those poor children.
I hope we can at least find out what exactly he was after and where he went.
There are some papers on his desk that haven't been touched since he left. We have a good chance of finding something there.
Lately, I feel like something odd has gotten into Professor Huscher. I mean, apart from his usual oddities. He seemed anxious about something and looked like he hadn't slept properly in days. No offense, Mr. Nora, but it looks like it's the same for you.
Don't worry, none taken. I'm well aware.
This is his desk. As you can see, there are a bunch of documents he uses as research for his novels.
It's all here. We better take a look at his computer and the shelves, too. The sooner we get started, the sooner we'll find something out. Look at this here. There are some notes where he mentions the music box, but I can't quite understand what he means. AA375 is underlined.
AA, that's how the documents in the Donations and Biographies archive are designated. Maybe he was looking for something there.
Biographies. Let's start with the archive, then. Where is it?
Donations and Biographies are on the basement level. I'm sure it will be closed, but we can easily find the janitor or a key. It's not a very busy area.
The group talk and decide it might be worth exploring the history department archives.
Let me go, I know the place. You keep searching this area.
Omar arrives and begins looking around. The door to the basement is locked, and he doesn't have a security card, but the janitor, Maxwell, does, and he might still be working somewhere. On the desk, across from the door, is a note, written for Maxwell by Professor Marino. From reading the letter, it's pretty clear that Marino is a bit of a condescending dick, and this is something both Omar and Grace will think about as they explore this area, and indeed the wider university. The letter chastises Maxwell, who's the department's cleaner, for leaving his ID card lying around. Marino says that he's hidden his card somewhere, and that the size of Professor Dunn's hat is the key to finding it. Don't mistake the professor's hat for mine. They're quite different. In fact, I'll take mine just to make sure. P.S. I'm not taking my hat in the end. What a guy. He's hidden the keycard in a book, but the room is filled with potentially thousands of books, organised by topic. Omar has to start at shelf I, as he already knows that Marino lectures on French, as if the man wasn't unlikable enough already, and Omar has to walk across the shelves based on whatever hat size he finds. But he doesn't have any idea which hat size either man are, and why would he really? Entering the teacher's lounge, he finds 2 hats. One is a size 6, and the other a size 8. Although there is an oddity in the room. A newspaper is out in the open, and it's dated for August, over 2 months ago. The main room is dark, and boards advertise an exhibit from the Byzantine Empire. Sounds interesting. Omar also finds a projector just left out in the open, but it's missing a cable and slides. Starting at shelf I, Omar first moves 6 shelves over, but can't find the card. Moving the remaining 2, he finds it in a book and opens the door into the janitor supply room. In a box, Omar manages to find some slides and wonders if this is what Husher was using the projector for. He leaves and opens the door from across the room, hoping Maxwell might be inside, but is disappointed. On the desk, he finds a tape recording, seemingly left by Maxwell.
I just saw something weird as fuck. I was out having a smoke because Miss Claire doesn't like me smoking near the books, even though the students do it all the time. When I came back, the slide machine had switched on by itself. Professor Husher once mentioned that the same thing had happened to him, so I thought it was just acting up again. I went to turn it off, and I saw there was a picture of the old archive door projected on the screen. Then the door started to open. I couldn't look away, and when it opened a bit more, I could have sworn I saw the control room from downstairs. And not just that, there was someone in there holding the release lever. It was me. I was in there. I pulled the cable, took the slides, and got the hell out of there. That's all you want, but now, I'm scared to go back downstairs.
In it, Maxwell sounds scared and hysterical. Omar prays he's okay. Clearly the man is tormented and unwell. The room is unusually dusty, but Omar notes it doesn't seem like normal dust. It's darker and thicker, more like a coating. Heading down the stairs, Omar finds himself in the archive's basement. The door has a light above it that indicates whether you can enter or not. When it's green, it's a go. The switch to the door is behind a cage. Entering it, Omar finds a note, authored by Maxwell and left here. Reading it, the note is somewhat confused. Maxwell seems to feel trapped, wherever he is. Omar hopes he's okay and that he can get to him in time. Omar tries the door's handle, but it won't stay.
I have to find a way to keep this lever lowered.
And Omar opts to find something to hold it down. Exploring further, Omar finds the cable for the projector, and also some bolt cutters behind a cracked open door. They shouldn't really be there, so he grabs them. You never know, I suppose. Omar can't find anything to hold the switch down. The archive room is seemingly lost to him, so his only remaining leads the slides he found in the janitor's room. Heading back up, Omar is confronted by a horrifying monster. Fear takes hold of him, and he doesn't make a sound. The creature disappears on its own accord, and Omar isn't sure if what he's seen is even real. Shaken, he plugs in the projector.
I have a feeling this isn't going to be anything like giving a class.
He begins arranging the slides. Their ghastly images and little details seem to change every time, though it could just be a trick of the light. Maxwell's note seems to shed some light on the order of the slides. Omar arranges them correctly, and the atmosphere in the room shifts dramatically.
A door? There's a door in the screen?
Omar looks at the projector screen and sees something that shouldn't be possible.
It's unbelievable. kind of hellish place have I gotten into?
He's able to step through the door and finds himself in a strange world that seems to distort around him. A malevolent ambience surrounds him as he steps through a door, entering a cage that seems to be a replica of the one in the basement. Inside, we find an emaciated corpse. Omar uses the handsaw and takes its hand, and on the hand, he's able to find a wedding ring. It belongs to Maxwell, which seems to indicate that this must be the missing cleaner. Omar doesn't ruminate on this, choosing to quickly leave the mysterious place. He heads back to the basement and uses the hand to hold the lever in place. Omar enters the archive. It's eerily quiet inside, and he goes from bookshelf to bookshelf, looking for anything that looks like it might have been moved recently. At the end of the room, he finds an article of interest, a book, on the history of the Legrand-Arnsberg family. He remembers Daniel talking about Ariadne, and he thinks this might be relevant to their quest to find Sebastian. He leaves to join the others. The floor itself tries to swallow him, and Omar fights it desperately, barely escaping grasping hands. The abyss dissipates, and Omar is left terrified.
God. Oh, my God. What was that? Awful place. I think this is part of what Husher was investigating.
Let's see. It's a book about Argos Legrand. A biography, or a collection of articles about him, I think. He apparently spent part of his life traveling the world in search of odd, rare events. Rich people stuff. I don't know. The biography suddenly ends right after his last journey. It says here, he returned without his equipment, without the huge amount of money he wasted on the project, and with a simple memento of the music he brought home to his little girls, 8-year-old Elaine and newborn Ariadne. And here's a note from Husher that says, see the archives events newspaper. Is there a newspaper archive over here?
I'll go take a look. You check out what else is in that notebook.
With Omar being a little shaken, Grace takes everything he found and decides to look at the relevant article herself.
I have to find the newspaper Professor Husher was looking for.
Grace is familiar with the archive, but she finds something about the place eerie in the late hours of the evening. She exits the double doors and takes a left, hoping somebody might be in reception. Nobody's home, and the door has a motion sensor that locks whenever it senses somebody outside, so she'll need to deal with that if she wants to get in. She enters the door next to it. Omar told her he couldn't find Maxwell, and hopes to find him in his office. She doesn't, but she does find his radio. The office is small, and it seems pretty clear that Maxwell wasn't well respected by certain members of the university's staff. Leaving, Grace notices something odd. A set of ladders. The building was undergoing renovations, but they should have been done weeks ago. Entering the room, she finds it filled with scaffolding and tools. The renovations are clearly only half done. She finds a can of dried red paint and a note, scribbled by a builder. Apparently he came to work one day with flowers for the secretary, and not only was she not there, but his entire team wasn't either. The note is filled with complaints, and it isn't clear what happened to its author. Grace explores the staff canteen, and again nobody is around, but she does find something on the table, a mechanical pen, which she uses to open the radio and retrieve the batteries. They might come in handy later. The door at the end of the corridor has an ominous feeling to it. That's Husher's office. Grace puts her ear against it and hears an odd low growling. She ignores the door for now, and goes into the one on the opposite wall. She finds all the walls graffitied, and she's also able to find a paint roller. The door at the end of the corridor is locked. The darkness attacks. Grace recalls Daniel's description of it and quickly finds a place to hide and calm herself. The darkness seems to just pass by, and Grace is left bewildered by the whole experience. Daniel's stories were far-fetched, to say the least. but she's beginning to think it wasn't complete fiction. Going down the right side of the double doors now, she finds the room with the microfiche machines locked. The microfiches have archives of every recorded newspaper in the area. With the reception closed, she'll have to find the key herself. The computers in the room don't seem to work, and Grace knows personally that Husher never uses them anyway. The door to the corridor is locked with a chain. Strange, Grace thinks. Entering the woman's bathroom, she encounters even more oddness.
Help me. Oh,
Max?
please.
Is it you? Max? It's me, Grace. Are you okay?
No. I can't get out. My flashlight is out of batteries. I need batteries.
Inside one of the stalls is the missing janitor, and he's completely hysterical. Grace gives him his wedding ring and batteries.
Max, I found batteries for you.
Oh, thanks. It's so dark in here. So dark.
And in return he gives us his spare keys, but won't open the door, so Grace opts to leave.
Max? Are you there? Max? Where are you? Max?
The only thing in the stall now is a coin. She goes into the men's toilets, and it's actually a lot cleaner than the average one in real life. She uses the water in the sink to wet the red paint.
Just a little redecorating.
Returning to the office, she paints the sensor and is able to enter the room. She finds the plastic key for the microfiche cabinets. At the end of the room she finds a note, written about Husher by another professor. Apparently, he had been having fugue state episodes where he acted strange at work, and he was looking into a newspaper from 1913. We leave the room and head back down the corridor. This time the door is enterable. This is Husher's office, and on the desk we find a hastily written note, where he talks about his desire to learn about Argos Legrand, his life, and more importantly than that, his death. The 17th of March. Now we have a date and a year to go off. Grace heads to the microfiche machines, but is attacked by the Abyss, and is barely able to escape.
What the hell was that?
She's terrified, but continues on, and eventually finds the microfiche she needs. Grace enters a room, and tries to use the machine.
What the fuck?
Well, that's 90s tech for you. Luckily there's another one just down the hall. She uses it and prints an article on the death of Argos Legrand. This is what she came here for. With the article in hand, Grace goes to leave the newspaper archives.
Oh shit! Help!
Using the bolt cutters, she's barely able to get away. Shaken, Grace returns to the others.
This might have something to do with Husher's investigation.
Let me see. Oh God, did you read that? Argos Legrand, heir to the Legrand family and owner of the LGA Incorporated business conglomerate, has died under mysterious circumstances along with his wife and 8-year-old daughter. It occurred last night at the family's holiday home, where they were spending part of the spring after the famous magnate's most recent trip. While police remain open-minded in their official statements and maintain that all lines of inquiry remain open, popular theories suggest that the family fell victim to a violent robbery, leaving the younger daughter, Ariadne, the sole survivor. She is currently safe in police custody. Oh my God, they're all dead. This is a dead end. Husher left some documents at the library. Maybe there's something there. It's all that's left to check.
The article Grace found indicates that Argos and his entire family died in what the authorities said was a burglary. The only survivor was the baby Ariadne, who Daniel met as an old woman. While this adds some intrigue to Daniel's situation, it isn't something concrete to go off of. Husher left some notes and personal effects in the university's grand library. With no other lead left, and with his nerves once again steeled, Omar volunteers to check if there's anything relevant there.
All right. Everything looks calm.
Upon arriving, Omar has a quick look around before heading over to the bookshelves.
What's going on here?
Ghouls emerge from the shadows and try to grab him, and he just about manages to pull himself away. The ghouls are now nowhere to be seen though.
Oh my god! What was that?
Omar heads to the security cameras, and to his despair, the night vision cameras reveal screaming, flailing monsters trapped in the shadows of the library's furniture. Omar has intimate knowledge of the bookshelves and tries to memorize where the creatures are in a hope to avoid them. Accessing one of the cameras causes it to break. Omar can't go through the ground floor to fix it, so instead climbs a ladder, heading up to the second floor. The second floor is mercifully free from the ghouls. On a table, Omar finds a photocopy. It's from a book on Egyptian history, talking about a pharaoh, Akhenaten. Omar pockets it without much thought. Doesn't seem too relevant to what's going on. Getting to the end of the shelves, he walks down a staircase. He tries to cut through the bookshelves, but is once again grabbed.
It was stronger this time. I have to be more careful.
If the pull gets any stronger, he's not sure he'll be able to pull away from it. He's able to get to the ladders and climb them. Finding the camera, he fixes it and returns to the monitors. Making a mental note of the locations of the screaming shadows in his head, he slowly inches through the bookshelves, but sadly, he miscalculates.
It's been a while now. Should we go see if everything's okay?
I bet he got wrapped up reading something. I'll go check.
Some time passes, and Grace goes to the library.
It's too quiet, even for a library.
She checks the monitors, and is horrified by the shadows in the bookcases, and from here she can take a pretty solid guess as to what became of poor Omar. She fares better in navigating the bookshelves, though, and manages to actually find Hush's things.
That must be Professor Husher's desk. All right, just a little more.
Of special note is a book called Sinister Nature.
Natura Tenebrosa. What's this? Oh shit, I'm getting out of here.
There was another book about Argos Legrand in the library. A compilation of research trips written by two of his associates in the early 1900s. Sinister Nature was a kind of narration of Legrand's frustrated trips in search of paranormal phenomena, with one of the last pages marked by Husher, the cursed concert, St. Cecilia's Abbey. St. Cecilia, the patron saint of music. I'm not sure what Husher wanted when he set out in Legrand's footsteps, or how long he planned on doing it. But it was a start. The best place to start looking, before it gets too late.
The day before Daniel's trip to the library, Sebastian Husher, the man that everyone's looking for, arrives at the Abbey of St. Cecilia. His research into the Grant Armsburg household has led him to this place. According to what he's been able to gather so far, Argus Legrand was inspired to make the music box after hearing about a bizarre concert at the Abbey of St. Cecilia, where a mysterious melody was performed by its monks and a troupe of musicians.
Isaac, my dear friend, you don't know what you've done with that cursed music box. By the time you tried to warn me, we had all heard the music. Now I find myself trapped in a tragic race against time. I had a hunch. I thought that perhaps by returning the box to you... Damn it, I've been such a fool. I lied, Isaac. I'm sorry. I just need you to hold on while I find a way to make things right. I left the house without telling Catherine. How could I possibly explain something like this? I thought she'd never believe me, and I was wrong. But now it's too late. I only hope you're all safe, and that you will find a way to forgive me. I must put an end to this once and for all, for my family, for you, and for my own sake. If not, I don't dare think about the future. I can barely distinguish what's real from what's not. Something is watching me, following me, drawing closer and closer by the day. The melody still haunts me. Its notes echo constantly in my head. With each passing minute, they sound more ghastly and foreign. I see darkness all around me, and shadows lurking in the corners. I see my world merging with something else. I see another place. The black figure. I feel it's here with me.
Usher arrived at the Abbey on the 2nd of October, and has somehow managed to make his way into the old cloister.
Time to move. I have to find it.
Getting up, he walks to his left and opens the door. Next to it was a pile of rubble, where a doorway used to be. This place hasn't seen any maintenance in a long time, and this bizarre level of heavy snow likely isn't helping the building's structure. Usher enters a room filled with pipes, and observes that there's something wrong with the structure's plumbing. Usher goes into the bathroom, and thinks on his wife and kids as he searches the place. Hoping they're okay, he sees something blocking one of the toilets and decides to remove it. Absolute grep. Usher notes that the plumbing system is too complex for mere toilets. He heads out and goes to the room where he's got a lit brazier, but the door is sealed shut, and Hush has to find another way in. Heading further down the corridor, he finds an iron gate. Going through it, he finds a staircase and heads up, soon finding himself in a corridor.
What on earth was that?
Usher heads through the door and finds a quaint laboratory. The monks here brewed natural remedies, and apparently it was also being used as body storage before the place was ultimately abandoned. Heading into the next room, we find where the remedies were made. Usher activates a switch on the wall that seems to divert water behind a bookcase in the room, but the pressure isn't high enough to move it. He recalls seeing pressure valves in nearby rooms that he's already explored, and heads to them. Looking around the cloister, Usher realizes that almost all of the doors are locked. Eventually he finds a hoe, which he uses to pry one of them open. He heads inside.
I'm glad I lit this. It's nice and warm.
He turns the valve in the room. And the rest around the place, and heads back to the bookcase. Flipping the switch, it now moves, revealing a secret room. It's a bedroom specifically, and in the bed itself is a corpse. Whoever it was, they must have died after being trapped in here. Usher finds a note on a stand, a note made by the Abbey's prior, Father Malachois, presumably the man in the bed. It describes a strange ritual committed by some of the brothers at the Abbey. They would sit in front of a mirror in a dark room with a lamp, and dim it to the point where the previous light blinds them, then quickly reignite the lamp. And sometimes they would see horrors beyond imagination. Well, not beyond Usher and Daniel's imagination, but still, and their frequency and closeness would let the monks know how much time they had, before something unspecified happened to them.
Shit. Damn it. I hope he can't get it open.
He bolts the door and finds himself trapped in a hallway. He enters one of the rooms, and with nothing left to do, decides to test out the monk's method of seeing how close they are to being taken by the presence.
If this works, let's see how much I have left.
So this episode is broken into 4 segments, 3 in the university, and 1 as a primer for episode 4. A Twisted Trail was inspired by Obscure, a game about multiple characters dealing with monsters in a school, where characters who die stay dead. The university is a bizarre and uncanny location, like something out of the backrooms at times. It's sterile, but also universal. If you've spent any time at a university in Europe or America, you've seen environments like this. Something I admire about this series is the variance of its locations, and how it employs different styles of shooting the characters to enhance the fear factor, with the blocking of the bookshelf being a particular favourite of mine. Most of the university seems compromised by the presence, particularly anywhere Husher spent significant time, and the university is missing several key people, including Jill the receptionist, the workers, and Maxwell. Maxwell was the university's janitor who was taken by the presence, whose spirit we find in the women's bathroom. Sussy. If we return his wedding ring, he'll give us a new special item, his lucky coin, that we can use in the future to help us determine whether we should take a chance or not. Sadly though, it came at the cost of his life. Up to now, we've lost Alina, Laskin, and now Omar. Omar's passing is also quite tragic. He and Grace clearly had a close relationship, and it's possible some things between them were left unsaid, and now Omar will never have the chance. Grace does have a chance to return in the next episode though, with both Husher and Omar now motivating her. But the casualty list is mounting quickly. So far, Daniel hasn't lost anyone important to him personally, but that might not be true forever. In the library, we find a striking statue. The main man depicted in the centre is Laudanum, apologies for the pronunciation if it's wrong, who was a priest and argued against bringing the Trojan horse into the city of Troy, for which Poseidon, who favoured the Greeks, sent sea serpents to strangle him and his sons. Obviously on a visual level, it resembles the game's characters struggling against the darkness, but upon further examination, his is the story of a man being punished by a god for trying to defy or subvert said god's plan. Themes of faith and God do come up more prominently in episode 3 than in previous ones, with Omar being a lapsed Muslim, which is something his ghost will talk about with regret should you find it. But we also find something somewhat more explicit than these examples, with the photocopy of the pharaoh being out of place upon first examination. But then you notice it talks about the emergence of monotheistic religion, and references a dark anti-god with multiple limbs who is repelled by light and, well. But regardless of all that, Daniel still has questions, and the Abbey of St. Cecilia might be the only place left in the world to find them. We, the audience, know that Husher is definitely there, but who knows how long he has left. With no time left to lose, Daniel calls anybody available, and we'll find out how he gets on next time.